All right, so 2b says the graph y equals tangent of pi over 4x plus 2. So again, tangent is my parent function. And so we know our parent table.
What were we supposed to put for the blank that says period?
Oh, I forgot about the period, didn't I? We'll go back and do that. All right, so,
Isn't period 2 pi?
well, yes, it was on that one, I believe.
Okay.
But we'll go back and look at it in just a minute because I'll have to pull it back up. All right, so on 2b, what is this pi over 4 going to do to my graph? Is it horizontal or vertical?
That would be vertical.
It's actually horizontal
Nice.
because it's attached to the x. It's that one time that I told you if it's just the b, they don't actually put it in parentheses because a is going to be in front of the trig function. All right, so it's a horizontal. Is it a stretch, compression, or a shift?
It is a stretch or compression.
It's a stretch or a compression. So which one?
Stretch, I think, because you do the opposite.
It is a stretch. Because if you take pi and divide it by 4, it's going to be less than 1. So, and remember x does the opposite. So it's a horizontal stretch by what?
4.
4 over pi. Remember, by the reciprocal.
I'm so going to get confused on that.
And what is that 2? Is it horizontal or vertical?
Vertical.
It's vertical. It's not inside with the x. If it's a plus or minus, it's meant to be a horizontal shift. It'll be in parentheses. All right, so it's a vertical shift. Which way?
Up.
Good. So when I go to do my table, what am I going to do with my x's?
Multiply it by 4
Over.
pi.
Good. Multiply by 4 over pi. And so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to come down here to the bottom and show a little work here. So we have, was that 4 over pi times, and it was negative pi over 2?
Why don't you keep change flip or just do it like that?
No, just we're multiplying. So multiply straight across. So my pi's will cancel. So I have negative 4 over 2, which is
Negative 2.
negative 2. Then I have 4 over pi times negative pi over 4, which is, yeah, negative 1, right? Because we still have the negative there. So what do you think the next one's going to be? Because remember, they all have a pattern. You think it's going to be 0? Let's check real quick. Because if you're right, then we know our pattern for sure. So 4 over pi times 0 is 0. So you do know the pattern. So negative 2, negative 1, 0. What's next?
1 and 2.
1 and 2. Very good. And so now we got our x's. What are we going to do to our y's? Add what?
2.
Add 2. So what's undefined plus 2?
Undefined.
Good, it's still undefined. All right, so we're adding 2 to all of our y's. What's undefined plus 2 again? What'd you tell me?
Undefined.
All right, and then add 2 to all the others.
Yup. December May's restroom.
All right, and then graph those.
That's nasty. That's nasty.
All right, so let's graph this. And then we could actually go ahead and graph another full period to the right. And we could graph another full period to the left. And then it's hard to check, but does it appear to horizontally stretched?
Yes,
And did it shift up to?
of course.
Yes. And so there's our graph. Now, for the period, what is the period of this graph?
4.
Yes. So asymptote to asymptote. So the easiest one, let me change color there, is maybe right here from 2 to, what is it right there? It's not numbered, but it's 6, right? How far is it from 2 to 6?
4.
4. Or we could have went from -2 to +2. That's also 4. All right, so the period is 4. Now, remember when we talked about sine and cosine, we said the period was equal to 2 pi over b? Because the period for sine and cosine is 2 pi. But what was the period for sine again? I'm sorry, for a tangent?
3.
Pi.
Oh, no.
And so to find your period, it would be pi over b. So if you take pi and you divide it by pi over 4, you'll end up with 4 as your answer. So let's go back on example 2 because we didn't cover the period on that.
Wait, I don't get it though. Because it's 2 pi, you said something about the 2 xing out or something like that? Where it's just 2 pi over b. So why did you leave the 2 out?
Because on sine and cosine, our period is 2 pi over b. So when we use our formula, for sine and cosine, the period is 2 pi. So the formula is 2 pi over b. But tangent and cotangent has a period of pi.
Okay.
So therefore, to find the period using tangent, you can say it's pi over b. So let's check that out on example on 2a because I don't have the graph there and we didn't do the period already. So let's just try the example. I meant the formula there. So my period is pi over, what is b?
1.
Well, it was 1/2. Because remember, it's
Oh, never mind.
right there, correct? And so we know if we do keep it, change it, flip it, we got pi times 2 over 1, which is 2 pi.
But